Assalamualaikum and good morning to our respected lecturer, Prof. Dr. Hairuddin Muhammad Ali, and my dear friends. Today my group is here to present about one of typology of management and leadership model, which is collegial models. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the members of Group 1. Starts with our group leader, Muhammad Azwan Muslim, Nurul Akmal Baharuddin, Mardia Hayati Abdul Rahman, Miss Lina Ahmad, and me, Siti Rafidah Abdul Rahman. Under the topic Models of Educational Management, my group will talk on central features, goals, structure, environment, the leadership and limitation of collegial models, also its potential application in Malaysian schools. We will also discuss on three models of educational leadership. They are transformational, participative, and distributed leadership models. Let's start with the first objective. In this part, I will discuss on the definition of the collegial models, identifying the central features, explain the goals, structure, environment, and leadership of this model. What is collegial models? Collegial refers to a highly cooperative set of people working together by dividing the labor among themselves for the sake of efficient working and to achieve organizational goals. Collegial models include all those theories that emphasize that power and decision making should be shared among some or all members of the organization. Collegial models assume that organizations determine policies and make decisions through a process of discussion leading to consensus. Collegial models have the following central features. Number one, they are strongly normative in orientation. All theories tend to be normative, but collegial approaches in particular reflect the prescriptive view that management ought to be based on agreement. Number two, collegial models seem to be particularly appropriate for organizations such as schools and colleges that have significant numbers of professional staff. Education necessarily demands a professional approach because pupils and students need personal attention. Teachers require a measure of autonomy in the classroom but also need to collaborate to ensure a coherent approach to teaching and learning. Number three, collegial models assume a common set of values held by members of the organization. These may arise from the socialization which occurs during training and the early years of professional practice. Number four, the size of decision-making groups is an important element in collegial management. They have to be sufficiently small to enable everyone to be heard. This may mean that collegiality works better in primary schools or in subunits than at the institutional level in secondary schools and colleges. And number five is collegial models assume that decisions are reached by consensus rather than division or conflict. The belief that there are common values and shared objectives leads to the view that it is both desirable and possible to resolve problems by agreement. There may be differences of opinion, but they can be overcome by the force of argument. So these five central features of collegiality appear to a greater or lesser extent in each of the main sectors of education. Now let's take a look at the goals of collegial models. Collegial models assume that members of an organization agree on its goals. There is a belief that staff have a shared view of the purposes of the institution. Agreement on aims is perhaps the central element in all participative approaches to school and college management. Goals have three main functions. The first one is they provide a general guide to activity, enabling to link their work to school objectives. Goals serve as a source of legitimacy, enabling activities to be justified if they contribute to achievement of the goals. They are means of measuring success. A school is effective if it achieves its objective. Collegial models share with formal approaches the view that organizational structure is an objective fact which has a clear meaning for all members of the institution. The major difference concerns the relationships between different elements of the structure. In education, collegial approaches are often manifested through systems of committees, which may be elaborate in the larger and more complex institutions. There are several difficulties in assessing the nature of relationships between the organization and its external environment. Collegial models characterize Collegial models characterize decision making as a participative process with all members of the institution having an equal opportunity to influence policy and action. However, where decisions emerge from an often complex committee system, it is no easy task to establish who is responsible for organizational policy. The ambiguity of the decision-making process within collegial organizations creates a particular problem in terms of accountability to external bodies. The head of principal is invariably held responsible for the policies of the school or college. In collegial models, the style of leadership both influences and is influenced by the nature of the decision-making process. Because policy is determined within a participative framework, the head or principal is expected to adopt strategies which acknowledge that issues may emerge from different parts of the organization and be resolved in a complex interactive process. The leader is an academic organization supposedly run by professional experts. The basic idea is less command than to listen, less to lead than gather expert judgments, less to manage than to facilitate, less to order than to persuade, meaning leader is not so much as a star.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I am Mardia Hayati Abdurrahman. I will continue to the topic of limitation of collegial models and potential application in Malaysian schools. The practice of collegial reflection entails both possible benefits and barriers. In a study about participation in a collaborative reflection group, teachers stated that adrenaline increased both about their school and themselves. However, there are too much discussion of what could be, and the result is not enough focus on reality. It also has limited time and access to peers and insufficient structural and social supports. At the end, it makes slow and cumbersome because of all the voices involved. Also, since collegial models are so strongly normative that they tend to obscure rather than portray reality, then they took much time and patience is needed. The participative aspects of decision making exist alongside the structural and bureaucratic components of school and college. Often there is tension between these rather different modes of management. Who is accountable? It may be difficult to sustain because principals remain accountable to various external groups. The effectiveness of a collegial system depends in part on the attitudes of staff. If they actively support participation, then it may succeed. Let's continue to the advantages. The collegial model is especially useful in research laboratories and similar workstations. It also has freedom of discussion and freedom of decision making, and it can achieve consensus without being beholden to one power figure. The culture model deals with the problems of scale by building in the assumption that teachers have formal representation within the various decision-making bodies. So there are positive relations between cultural management and managers, human relations, group working, flexibility, and using the new methods in education. Teachers will be satisfied and content if this model is practiced in their schools, which serve as a significant platform to collaborate, share, and help other teachers, especially novice teachers. It should be implemented in all types of school in Malaysia. Teachers will be able to collaborate, learn, and share their instructional knowledge to achieve the school's academic targets. The majority of teachers believe that a support system would enhance the practice of collegial system. As a conclusion, it might be said that school leaders should play substantial roles as role models for collegial system practice and provided teachers with the acknowledgement and reward system with enhanced teachers' collaboration and collegiality.
I am Muhammad Azwan and I will present about transformational leadership model. First, I will introduce the history and development of transformational leadership. US leadership expert J. Max Roger Burns originated the model of transforming leadership in his book Leadership 1978. According to Burns, transforming leadership is a process in which leader and follower help each other to advance to a higher level of morality and motivation. Burns believed that great leaders create significant change in the life of people and organizations, transforming them with vision and goals. What is transformational leadership? Transformational leadership occur when leaders perform their role so effectively that they gain the trust, respect, appreciation, and loyalty of people who follow them. We can simplify as this in turn change or transform people behavior. Employees are intrinsically motivated, which means motivated from within to follow the leader. Next, success factors in transformational leadership. First, set clear and consistent goals. Leaders often identify opportunity for organizational development, shape and inspire employees to accept organizational goals and priorities with mutual consent. Second, encourage and respect others. This can be done by respecting each other and paying attention to the personal feeling and need of staff. Third, lead through influence and charisma. Leaders should show the best examples of behavior to follow. Fourth, integrity and fairness. This behavior is aimed to encourage staff involvement in decision making and sharing leadership among staff. Fifth, encourage people to look beyond their self-interest toward the greater good of the organization. Leaders need to demonstrate a high expectation toward excellence in quality and performance of staff. And six, inspire others to rise the challenge. Leaders should constantly challenge staff to re-evaluate assumptions on work and rethink how a job can be done by them. Another way to describe transformational leadership is through the four components of behavior that differentiate transformational leadership from other types of leader. Number one, intellectual stimulation or degree to which the leader encourages creativity in his follower. Number two, individualized consideration or the degree to which the leader attends to the needs of each follower, keeping communication open and offering empathy and support. Number three, idealized influence or the degree to which the leader provides a role model for ethical behavior. And number 4, inspirational motivation, or the degree to which the leader articulates an inspiring vision that communicates optimism and drive the organization group forward. We will discover the limitation of transformational model. First limitation, too conceptual. One of the main weaknesses of transformational leadership is that it is too conceptual and missing the task focus that some employees need. Second limitation can lead to employee burnout. This consistent push to achieve the grand vision and continually take pride in the organization achievement can lead to demotivate and burnout in some employees. Third limitation can be risky and disruptive. The problem with change is that it is become destructive if it happens too frequently and detrimental if the leader takes excessive or unnecessary risks. Fourth, limitation carries a high potential for abuse. But what if the transformational leader's vision or doing things the right way, in inverted comma, is actually the wrong way for the organization? Sometimes a charismatic leader will stridently follow a vision that is not forced for good. Fifth limitation, require a continuous feedback loop. Transformational leader rarely on keeping enthusiasm level high and that take a lot of work and a lot of meeting and feedback to be successful. Sixth limitation, leader lose power if people disagree with them. What if what if employees do not agree with the leader vision? If someone disagree with the leader vision for the organization, then he lose the ability to influence them and he lose all his power. Now we will look the advantages of transformational leadership. First, united in common cause. Through the spirits and influence of leader, he can unite everyone. Second, reduce turnover costs. Transformational leadership seeks to lower staff turnover by making people feel more engaged and included in the organization. Third, create and manage change. The style of leadership focuses on the positive impact of the change for the greater good and tell people how they can contribute to it. Fourth, keep the organization open and ethical. The entire sphere of influence is based upon them being transparent and openly living the value they have established for the organization. Fifth, promote morale through better communication. When an organization has no communication problem, it often brings in a transformational leader to articulate the corporate message clearly. And the last one, give employees a lot of freedom. Workers are valued for their skill and experience and are trusted to perform tasks for the best of their ability. Potential application in school. Why is the transformative leadership style becoming popular in education, organization, and to some extent necessary? It is because it is suitable at all levels of organization, high, medium, and bottom. Moreover, one of the main benefits of the transformational leadership style is that it treats people as individuals. Transformational leaders regard their followers as equal, each with his own skill and experience, and seeks to bring out the best in them through coaching and encourage instead of barking orders. Teachers will support so they work hard and stay. It is not all good news. However, this particular way of leading can elevate the school to new heights or drop to new lows, depending how the leader uses her or his power. As with any management style, there are pros and cons of transformational leadership. As conclusion, transformational leadership able to bring reform and change, the advancement of school organization and achieve shared vision. As leader, you need consider before deciding if it is right for your organization.
I'm Nurul Akmal binti Baharudin will present Participative Leadership Model. The leadership theory's roots are often traced back to an experiment in the 1930s famously known as the Horton experiments. The experiments conducted at the Horton Works in Illinois, US were analyzed by Altenmeyer. The experiment was aimed at finding ways to improve factory productivity, although the findings related more to motivation. The findings relating to participatory leadership saw light in the 1950s when researcher Henry Landsberger examined the original experiments led by Meyer. Landsberger found that workers' productivity increased during the participation in the experiment. According to Crane 1979, the experiments showed that when employees feel supported through observation and participation, they are more satisfied and therefore productivity increase. According to Littlewood, Benzie, and Steinberg 1999 in Tony Bush's book in the title Theories of Education, Leadership and Management, Third Education 2003, participative leadership assumes that the decision-making processes of the group ought to be the central focus of the group. Coughlin 2001 makes a similar point in claiming that participative leadership has the potential to ease the burden on principals and avoid the expectation that the former leader will be a superhead. According to Cambridge Dictionary, participatory is the idea that things that be achieved more easily if everyone works together and is involved in making decisions. So, as conclusion, participative leadership model is a style of leadership in which all members of the organization work together to make decisions. As everyone is encouraged to participate, employers invite employees to take a part in organizational decision making. Now, we look at central features of participative leadership model. Participative leadership model assumes that leadership is the collective action and success of the leadership depends on the community innovation and gains in school management and administration. Thus, the examination of participative leadership is transposed in school management and administration to create the feelings of the ownership of all stakeholders in school. By involving all stakeholders in school in the decision-making process can do a lot more to help them feel like they are a part of school organization. Secondly, participative leadership assumes that the more the democratic effort in the school, the more the school effectiveness will be resulted. So, participative in school management and administration is practice creating the democratic environment where the access, voice, choose, right, share, and representation of the stakeholders are granted that leads the school towards planning and the target. On the other hand, high morale participative leadership also supports the school leaders' well-being by making teachers and staffs a more active part of the organization where they get chance to have participation in formal, procedural, or substantial form to have ownership to the decision that is going to be made and implemented. When they feel like more than just a number, they are more likely to engage in school policy and enjoy their work. Number four, policy adoption. When teachers and staff feel they have more of a hand in making the decisions that affect the school goal, they are more likely to accept those decisions and work to accurate them with more enthusiasm. Last, participative leadership provides creative thinking. Sometimes principals get stuck in a loop that leads them to make stagnant or outdated decisions. By opening the floor to teachers, staff, or even parents' input, creative thinking is used, and that opens the door for cost-saving innovations, unique approaches to achieve the school goal and efficiency, and more. Now, we look at the limitation of participative leadership in school contexts. Participative leadership model is slow process. This approach at times especially engage in the forms of leadership that exist on the higher ends of the participation to all members. Second, challenging for large involvement. The bigger school or institution, the more voice have to accommodate. And the more voice have to accommodate, the more likely to encounter differing opinions that may be difficult to resolve. There is no to say it is cannot be done. It just may take a lot of time to make space for everyone to be heard. The third, information leaks. There are some sensitive things to discuss to all teachers and staff, so sometimes school leaders need to make decisions by him or herself. Last one, just because we give everyone a voice, it doesn't mean there are always one to contribute. Conversely, some teachers or staffs feel strongly on one issue but not care much about another. Each of these instances made it hard to come to a collective conclusion. Thus, can participative leadership model applying in Malaysian school? Actually, the application of the participative leadership makes this all in cohesion to achieve the school goal. School administration and management practice the school-based planning and implementation of the activities as site-based management. To practice the most decentralized efforts, the participative leadership is the only one which yields the best. The application of participatory leadership in school management and administration will support to create more accountability in school system. Other than that, the transparency, inclusion, and consciousness can be also promoted in school management by which the good school governance mechanism will put the betterment with no corruption. Another implication of the participative leadership model in school management and administration is minimize the risk of the top management and yielding the more benefits to others. Number 4, the best alternative decided in wider participation will result the best policy for school, which means the proliferation of ideas can produce better results. Last but not least, the teacher management model by participative leadership model is also important. The teachers are assigned the roles and responsibility in the participatory way where the justice is made for as far as applicable. For conclusion, the participation in school management, the active or substantial representation on behalf of the students, teachers, parents, management, or in other form starts from the decision making followed by the implementation of the same decision, monitoring and evaluation of the decision, sharing the benefits as well as taking the profits or bearing the loss. This sort of participation in educational management and administration makes the stakeholders more conscious to school and the quality of education will be increased.
I am Miss Lina binti Ahmad. I would like to share the information regarding distributed leadership model. Definition of distributed leadership model. Distributed leadership model, according to Leithwood et al. 2009, means mobilizing leadership expertise at all levels in the school in order to generate more opportunities for change and to build the capacity for improvement. High-performing schools widely and wisely distribute leadership. Distribute leadership model, according to Harris and Lambert 2003, hold that distribute leadership concentrates on engaging expertise wherever it exists. Genuine distribute leadership requires high levels of trust, transparency, and mutual respect. Distribute leadership model, according to Elmo 2000, admits the central element of distribute leadership is to create a common culture of expectations around the use of individual skills and abilities. In summary, distributed leadership model is an important component of and contributor to improve organizational outcomes and school excellence. It equates with shared, collective, and extended leadership practice that builds the capacity for change and improvement. The central features. The key features, according to Harris 2014, of distributed leadership models are: Number 1, distributed leadership model may be exercised through formal position as well as informal roles and actions. Number 2, each member is valued and supported in their professional practice. Number 3, ongoing learnings is considered to be the norm for teachers as well as students. Number 4, leadership occurs through interaction, influence practice, and organizational routines. Number 5, relevant expertise is recognized and rewarded. Number 6, a climate of trust exists among teachers. Number 7, there is cooperation and participative leadership. Number 8, sharing of ideas and help generate new solutions to all problems. Number 9, encourage more effective and responsive decision making. Number 10, give people a more flexible and adaptable approach to work. 11, sharing and learning insights and across different groups of people. Number 12, each person contributes to the overall good of the organization. The limitation of distributed leadership model, according to Bush 2011. Some of the potential drawbacks of distributed leadership are: Number 1, it slows down the decision-making process. Number 2, it can be a struggle to maintain accountability. Number 3, it creates an expectation of importance. Number 4, the effectiveness of distributed leadership depends on the attitudes of staffs. Number 5, it requires leaders to have specified experience. Number 6, it can foster arguments. Potential applying distributed leadership model in Malaysian school. According to Bush 2013, asserted that distributed leadership model has become the preferred leadership practice for the 21st century. It is because the advantage of distributed leadership model. It disperses leadership throughout the school and does not confine it to one individual. Today's principle must meet challenges posed by policy mandates, particularly those related to student achievement, teachers' evaluation, and community relations. Hence, distributed leadership is recommended because it is nearly impossible for a single individual to properly administer and lead a school. Moreover, as principals engage teachers to share in decision-making processes, they are providing them with leadership experiences in essential areas, such as communicating, budgeting, and curriculum planning. Essentially, experiences arising from the distribution of leadership prepare teachers to become leaders. Some of the essential practice that principals use when applying distributed leadership include setting the direction of focus, helping personnel develop skills, and redesigning the school's organization to strengthen the culture and build collaborative processes towards school excellence. For the conclusion, Collegial and shared leadership model seeks to create the opportunities, initiative, and share expertise to improve the school quality in terms of enhancing professional leaders and teachers towards students' academic achievement. They are all of our references.